Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I am thrilled today on Thursday, the 21st of May, to be joined by Scott Mills. Thanks to Fraser Galt for setting this up. Scott, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me along. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Brilliant. So if anybody, if you can see us and hear us okay, please make sure you type into the question or the chat box to let us know that you can hear and see us okay. And if you have any difficulties hearing, just type in and let us know. And thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks everybody who will watch this later. Our core value this month is passion, and Scott's going to exude lots of that. And he's gonna talk to us about session design and a little bit about his journey. Greg Muir says, "Good morning, all." So Scott, you've got Chicago lad on. Good old Fraser's got him in there. So Scott, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your journey, Scott. Tell us where you're at and what you're doing and how you got there.
So currently I'm working in Scotland at Partick Thistle's Youth Academy. That's with the youth development team there, and I'm also working at a club called Gartcairn FC, which is like the Scottish non-league. So that's the two clubs I'm working with just now. It's really good because you get the blend of working with the kids and trying to develop them, and you also get the option on the Saturday to go and get used to winning 3 points and trying to win leagues and competitions, which is really good. So my journey started back when I left school. Always played, was never good enough to get picked up or progress in a playing career. I was lucky enough, I got into a college course to do sports coaching, and from there it just took off. I always feel like football's about timing and opportunity, and quite young in my coaching career I was offered a position to coach at Clyde FC. We're a kind of Scottish lower league team, and I was working in their youth academy, and we had some reasonable success in terms of players and development and people progressing through the setup there. And from there, got the chance to move to Partick Thistle, and I've been there for 7 seasons now.
Fantastic. And you have your UEFA B license, and you have an elite youth license as well, right? Tell us a little bit about the elite youth license.
So the elite youth license stands at the same level as the A license. So it's kind of a specialist course the SFA run, which allows for more focus on working with youth players, so for U18 down the way. I got that maybe 18 months ago. The course lasts a year, and it's put into different blocks, and it finishes with an assessment. One of the sessions I've done, you'll see on the PowerPoint later on, you'll be able to see one of the sessions I've done to pass that assessment. But again, really great learning opportunities, and actually meeting people through the courses is one of the benefits as well.
Yeah, and then you're going soon to do your UEFA A, right, as well?
Yeah, that will be the next step on the next plan. UEFA license would allow me to complete the kind of the 3 main licenses that you can get through the SFA.
Brilliant. And then with the elite youth license, you said it was a year long and you had different blocks. What were your biggest 3 takeaways from that, Scott?
Definitely the on the pitch stuff is always my favourite. So you would get certain themes and you'd work in small groups, and it's amazing. So your theme might be crossing and finishing, and 4 coaches will put 4 totally different ideas in. So things like that, always really interesting to see how other people like take the same idea and make it different, and what you learn for that. Secondly, probably I really like the kind of modules that you would do in the classroom. So we've done ones with a guy, Brian Howson, would do leadership and like psychological modules, so learning how the mind works and how you can interact with the players is definitely another big one for there.
Yeah, brilliant. So, you know, beyond the X's and O's, not just, yeah, not just, I love that. And then, as I understand, you were also selected for a very prestigious course, right, through the Scottish FA, which was Developing Future Managers. Tell us a little bit about that, Scott.
Yeah, I was back when it first started. I was lucky enough to be invited onto, it was kind of like a course they were running through with coaches for all different clubs in Scotland. So the first one we got to go in with Sean Dyche and a coach educator from England called Dick Bates. Basically, Sean, he done a session, and then we had a Q&A with him at night. So you speak to a guy at that level, Premier League manager at the time, it was really invaluable. Dick was a really top coach educator. He had over 60, 70 years in coaching, and again, he would run sessions on a number of different topics and then take the question and answers on the park. So it was a really good experience to go into it.
Yeah, brilliant. What was your biggest takeaway from that?
Probably I really liked listening to Sean Dyche, and again, a lot of the stuff, I think a lot of people, we'll touch on later on as well, that I think they think maybe at the elite level, the things that they do, that you're a coach working at a youth level, you probably never have heard it before, or you'll never have seen it, and there's another side to coaching where there's all this amazing stuff happening that nobody knows about, but it's no, he's shown us exercises and drills that are delivered probably more structured and more clearly to get a better impact, but it's still pretty similar to stuff that a lot of coaches everywhere else are doing.
Yeah, no secrets in football, right, Scott?
That's it.
Yeah, so brilliant. So I love that, and we'll come back to some of that. Let's see if Scott, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody can see that screen, and if you just want to, I'll just start thumbing through and you can talk us through the slides, yeah?
Yep, definitely.
Let me see as I clumsily go through this. All right.
Yeah, so this is just a wee brief example of how at Partick Thistle we broke down our kind of first block of our season from last year. So our weekly sessions, we would have a technical night, an attacking night and a defensive night, and we would then focus on an area of the field to practice that. So if we use the first one as an example, the first week we would look at from the back, so in your defensive third. A technical night, we would look at passing. We would try and link that into that area of the field. So it might be building from the back or the passes to get out of pressure. The attacking theme, we would then drill more into the detail of the tactical side of it. So the theme was centre back split and get the ball. So we have to design sessions to focus on how do we make our centre back split and get the ball. What patterns would we like to see for our team? What options could we do if other players counteract their patterns? And really drill it into the players to get them comfortable going into games. And then defensively, we would look at pressing from the front because we're working at the back of the field. So that's the way that we like to structure our kind of weekly training sessions at Partick Thistle.
Yeah, I love that. And as you were working on the attacking theme, were you, and you probably get into this, were you coaching the counter topic kind of thing? So you were teaching the centre backs to split. Were you putting the, say, the 9, the 7 and 11, were they getting coached to press as well?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. What we would do, again, I'll touch on it. So two of us coaches will be at every session. So if I'm the lead coach on the night and I'm running that part of the drill, my other coach, he will be coaching the other players and he'll be challenging me and my players, and we'll go like to and fro that way. So me and the other coach, we won't coach the same theme. He'll coach one side, I'll coach the other, and we'll try and challenge the players and give them problems within that.
Yeah, fantastic. Can I leave that up for a second? And if there's any questions on that, type them in. So this would be like a mesocycle.
Yeah, so this would run from the kind of when we came back from pre-season. The Scottish season at youth development goes from February to June. We then have a break and then we go again from August to December.
Yeah, so our American audience, 4-2 would be the 4th of February, not April 2nd. So the way we do the dates is a little different in the US, Scott.
Other way around.
Yeah. So next slide, Scott.
Yep.
Uh-oh. There we go.
Yep, so I just wanted to speak about kind of breakdown of a session within that. My experiences and the way I've kind of learned through my own coaching and through watching other coaches and other people that have tutored me. So the way we like to run it, we like to start warm up or unopposed or drill. We like to then progress into a game related practice, and then we like to finish on a condition game or a free game. Some of the things that we like to speak about, and I think it's important. So if you look at the warm-up, for example, or the unopposed drill, I think it's important for the players that when they arrive, they see the setup, they get a kind of buzz of what could potentially be happening here. I think players will try and automatically guess what might be happening, or what's that going there for, or what do you think that is? And I think that gets them in that excited mental state, ready to go. I think when you're running about, putting cones down and maybe a wee bit harassed, it can affect that wee state, the mental side of the players. It also gives me a good opportunity, if I'm set up and I'm ready to go, to interact with the players and go and see them, and how was your day, and how's things, and how was school, for instance, and talk to them on a personal level rather than just the football side of it. I think it's touched on the physical and mental stimulus. It's important to get them in the zone, ready to go. From there, so if I was using an example of my passing drill, this is where I would like to bed in my principles, maybe unopposed, and it might just be patterns of play or a passing exercise to get that bedding in part done right. That would also give me a wee initial kind of gauge of where the players are at. Are they understanding this? Are they coping with it? Is it too easy? Is it too hard? That's the way I like to break that part down, the first part.
Yeah, so, but during obviously the conversations too, right? And the personal connection, on connecting with them on a personal level, that gives you the ability to gauge where they're at mentally too, yeah?
No, definitely. The young players, or any players, like everybody, they might have come into your session, had a terrible day at school, or they might have had been into trouble with a parent before they get there. So they might not be feeling as good as they should be. So I think it just gives you that opportunity to kind of look everybody in the eye and find out how are they feeling, how do I think this might go tonight, and identify any problems early.
Yeah, have you ever had to adjust on the fly, thinking, oh, they've just had exams or something, you know what, we've been in this, we're going straight into the game? Have you ever?
I think in Scotland, I think that happens quite a lot, Chris, with the weather.
Yeah.
I think with the weather, that really sometimes we'll need to go small-sided our games, especially when we're getting later on in the season towards November, December time. But yeah, definitely. Or again, sometimes they come in high as kites, and it's hard to bring them back down to earth again. So you might need to be a wee bit more stricter, or put a wee bit more emphasis on certain aspects to get them back to a manageable level.
Yeah, brilliant. Now you want to go into the game related stuff?
So game related, this is probably the part recently that I've been enjoying the most. I think it's where you can get a lot of creativity in your sessions. Game related for me, you can go both ways. You can go towards one goal. I'll show you the session later on that I put in. But for me, it's about the flow. How do you get there from your warm up, your unopposed drill? Can you keep your theme intact? I think one thing I was guilty of when I was a younger coach and progressing through is we try and fit in a bit of everything. We try and do a bit of dribbling, a bit of running, a bit of shooting, a bit of passing. So I think it's really important that you kind of stick to specific details and a specific theme, and that will give you the opportunity to really coach them in your session, and you don't need to be jumping about and over coaching is probably one of the buzz terms you hear now. As I mentioned earlier on, when the two of us are coaching together and we kind of overlap well, and we'll make adjustments and we'll talk. How's this going? Can you coach this part? Can you challenge this player by doing this? So I think it's really important that you, if you're lucky enough to be coaching with someone else, you have the conversations while things are happening. Corrections and evaluation success. It's probably a big part for me. Is I try not to talk too much. I try and do these kind of things either one-to-one by calling players out when sessions are going on, or just as things are happening by using my voice and letting people know. I don't like to bring everybody in to stand around to listen to a point to then go back out and play. So that's the kind of key points I think you can get for your game related practice if it's set up well.
Yeah, and you know, this is, you know, at what ages would you follow this flow and design? So for example, do you usually coach if you had under 6s?
I would probably I would have that more probably technical based in my sessions, and I think my game related, my practices in the game would be kind of more merged into one, because I think the jump between each part at that age group would probably be too difficult. I think the older they get, the more structured it can be, but the younger you get, I think it's probably more beneficial to have one idea, so say passing, and then take it into your game where the condition might just be 5 passes equals a goal, or whatever condition you want to put on. So
yeah, brilliant. Which takes us nicely into condition games, right?
Yep, condition games or free games, whatever, depending on how your session goes. I like to mix it up. A lot of the things that players will say to me, because I'll maybe finish with a condition game, and they'll say, "Coach, when are we finishing with a game?" And I'll say, "You've just played a game for the last 30 minutes." They don't realise that's the game. So it's changing that mindset of the players so that they know that they don't always need to finish with a 7v7 or 11v11 match to finish training. I like to take in my principles of what I've used in my session, and I think when you get your chance to put your picture painting in, so if I'm working on building for the back and I know the drills I've been working on, I know the patterns I'm looking for, then when we go into that game, if you see an opportunity for an example that could have happened, or an opportunity for an example that did happen and it happened well, I think it's important to show that and to like reset that picture and paint that picture again, so that the players know there is a link between what we were doing 45 minutes ago and what we're achieving just now. But I think that really comes for the coach driving home that message, and don't jump off the message too much. Don't praise them for other actions, like if you're working on building for the back, don't praise them for the pressing or for playing a longer pass into the striker. Really praise on the actions that's applicable to your session at that time.
Yeah, just linking it all together, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, nice. Let me see if I can get my mouse to work. Ah, there we go.
So this is just an example. I don't know if you guys can open up the stretch out the image a wee bit to see the words at the bottom, but this is an example of one of the sessions I've done at my youth license. So at the youth license we had to get a theme. So my theme was midfielders working offensively in a certain formation. So the formation I got was 4-4-1-1. So this is the warm-up and drill that's set up for it. I had my 4 midfielders in kind of areas of the pitch that I would expect to see my midfielders in. I had my 1 and my 1 again in the areas of the pitch I would like them to be in. The kind of blue area that you can see was a neutral zone. I had that neutral to get my success in early. So I had my midfielders in the boxes. They were passing the ball and moving, and each box was numbered. So I shouted 3 numbers. So if I shouted 1, 2 and 3, the first number, the ball get played into number 10, or the guy off the striker. 2 and 3 would then go and support, make runs, and the striker would also make a run. I also thought it was important to tell the box the number that never came. So number 4, his job would be to then sit off the game defensively. So if the other team countered on us, we had a bit of protection. So that was the way that we set that up. We didn't have any pressure in, we didn't have any defenders in to start. But the progression was we added in a defender who would then be active on the number 10's touch.
Brilliant. Next slide.
Yep. So that then took me into my game related aspect. So again, I kept the kind of this is a good point to say about session, setting up your session. I think it's important, or not important, but the way I like to do it is I like to set up back to front. So I like to put down what I'm going to do last first, if that makes sense. So that when you're in the session, all you're doing is taking things away rather than adding things in. So if you can still see that the blue zone's there, so basically when I went from the warm-up to the game related, all I had to do was lift my boxes. I already had my blue zone and other field markings ready to go. So for the game related, I looked at a 6v5 in one half of the park, pressure on the ball, a kind of possession-based game. The job for the 6 was to try and rotate the ball through, and when an opportunity was on, could they find that number 10, could they get that path? He was then in the neutral zone again to start with, so it would allow him to get his touch and get turned. And then we had our 2 wide midfielders out in areas from the warm-up and drill, and then we were also looking for one of the midfielders who were playing in the possession box to break out and give support going towards one goal. Also thought it was important for the defensive team that we gave them a target to keep them involved. So the white team in this setup, they had 3 mini goals to go and hit if they won the ball back, and it kept them active within the session.
Super.
And then that linked me on to my condition game, my free game.
Give me a second. There we go.
Yep, so this again, I kept my blue zone in to start with, just to get my initial kind of success. Then I took it away as the game progressed. So in this, I like to shape up my teams in terms of the formation. So we played a 3-3-2 versus my 2-4-1-1, who was the key players I was working with the goalkeepers. So my conditions in this drill was the attackers must play through the blue area to attack the goal. Also, the 2 supporting midfielders must get into or beyond the blue area for the attack or the goal to count, to make sure that we weren't being lazy, we were getting support from the midfield and they weren't overthinking about what if we lose the ball. I wanted them to commit to the attack and commit to being brave enough on the ball to go and score the goal. The defending team's condition, I put in that once they get past the blue area, they must play forward. This was designed so that my team got the ball back as much as possible, be that way if they had a shot at goal and a goalkeeper could restart play, or if they had to play forward, that forced them into passes that they might not make otherwise. So it would give me lots of turnovers in the attacking and the defending half to go and build my attacks. I looked at 4 phases of play. You can see them listed down at the bottom about how and why and what players I would like to support when the ball was in certain areas of the park.
Did you want next slide?
Yep, sorry. So that just links back to a couple of things that I was speaking about. I can refer back to that session as an example. Again, this is just a picture is what I usually do on a kind of week-to-week basis. So that's basically just a freehand written session that I'll use. And I try to do this for every session that I run, be that with the kids or with the adults. I don't like to go in like unprepared. I like to have that picture in my head of what we're going to try and achieve. I think the important things when you're designing the sessions, the things that I've got experience for and I've had success for, my method, like, is what we spoke about. Is it clear and concise? Does it have a pattern from the first exercise to the last? The creativity, I really think that coaches try your best not just to regurgitate what you see, go and put your own spin in it. The worst case scenarios doesn't work and you get a chance to be creative again, be fixing your problems. A question I always like to ask myself is, would I enjoy this? If I was that 11-year-old kid or that 6-year-old kid or the 20-year-old adult, would I enjoy doing this? Because I think that the players respond to that, and if it's something they enjoy that also teaches them, then I think that's the best part of it. Like I spoke about earlier on, the speaking time, try and keep that to a minimal. Try and use your information sparsely but effectively. And demonstrations for me are massive. If you know you can do it, get out there and show them it, paint that picture. If you have to stop something, don't do it for the freeze. Make sure, a trick I use is, if I have to freeze something, I say, right, everybody go back to where, when Chris had the ball, go back to where you were. They might not be in the exact position that they were in, but they won't be that far away, rather than trying to create the same picture, maybe like 10, 15 yards away from where the balls went. So if you can get them back into that position in the field to recreate the picture you want to coach them.
Yeah, and then when you step in there for your intervention, Scott, and you might go into this a little bit later, but you know, are you giving them the answers, or are you asking questions? Are you
yeah, I like personally like a player-led approach where I will maybe say, options. I would maybe say, what would you do if he done this, or if I put the ball there, or one I like to, if I've ran a phase of play and my player has done what I wasn't looking for him to do, one of the questioning techniques I like to ask him is I'll say, right, Chris, if I give you that pass again, what would you do different? And it gives him an option to think about, right, what would I do different? Would I maybe take my touch there, or would I link with that player? If they still don't get the answer I'm looking for, I would maybe then go and take his place, and I would maybe say, this is what I would do. What do you think of that? And then try and get them thinking the options that way.
Brilliant. Yeah, one of the ones I like is like the balls come in, close your eyes for a second. What did you notice? What changed? That just, as well as what would you do different?
Yeah, no, definitely. Picture painting. I think scanning is a massive part of the game that probably undervalued a wee bit. I think the best players are the ones that are always looking in and out of possession, so having that mental image, that mental picture is massively important.
Yeah, and I think that's what made Xavi so successful, right? I mean, he used to scan on average, they say 891 times a game.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. There he is, the man.
Yeah, that's Dick Bates, one of the guys I was fortunate enough to listen to earlier on. I was speaking to you about. Again, just something that he said I thought was really interesting. He's a coach because of the game, how it's played, how it evolves, how it's taught. It just fascinates me. It captures my imagination more than anything else in life. I think that kind of breaks it down to me about that creativity and about trying things and about trying to be different and trying things with your players and creating something off that blank sheet. I think your session design is a place where you can get that, along with your demeanour and your environment that you create. But I think that's really struck with me what he said in that quote, because it allows me to go and put ideas onto paper and then transfer that onto the pitch. And I think it's important that when you do it, that you have the belief in what you're doing. The knowledge comes for stuff like this, for learning, going and listening to different people and reading, writing, podcasts, all these different things. You never know the next bit of information you're going to pick up. For me, one of the massive things that I try to be in my coaching is adaptable. Like you were saying earlier on, Chris, about having to change and go straight into games or whatever it may be. Anything can happen. I've been in many a session where it's just not working, and it might be because of the area, because of the size. Don't be scared to just go, guys, stop. We're changing this, because there's nothing worse than trying to force out that picture just to satisfy yourself, because you think this is what I was going to do. If it's not working, be brave enough to say, no, listen, I'm not happy with this. We're going to do something different. Wee concept just to touch on. I was speaking earlier on about coach v coach, when we coach different sides of the game with each other. The other part we like to use is ghost coaching. So if I'm coaching my session, my technical session, and we're looking at finishing or we're looking at crossing, the other coach we call him the ghost coach. He's everywhere. He's all around the pitch with balls. He's making sure that the session never goes flat. Players are never waiting on equipment or kit. I think that's just as important as being the person delivering the session. So we'll take turns of doing that for each other when we're coaching with my coaching team. It just keeps your session like really high tempo and really on the ball, so it doesn't give the kids or the players a chance to switch off.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
So this links into kind of one of the last few parts of my evaluation. So obviously it's really important after you do your sessions, and you look at how you can progress and how you want to change things. For me, I think this quote here, I think it really touches it. You see a lot more in the moment coaching going on. I kind of really enjoy this. I think it's really important. I think you get more benefit about kind of taking that mental snapshot when you're in the zone and remembering and changing as you go, or adding things in. There's been an example of sessions I do, we're doing maybe passing rotations, and it might just be me and my other coach will say, what if we done this, or what if we added him in there? And we'll just go and try it. We'll spend an extra 2-3 minutes, we'll try it and we'll see if it works. And then it allows you, when you're doing your next session, that might be along the same kind of theme, that you can take it to the next level. So I think it's really important that you evaluate it as you're doing it and not just after as well. You can get evaluation for your peers, your other coaches. I think it's always important to ask the players how they feel. Did they enjoy it? What was your favourite part of the session? Is there anything you didn't like? I think you need to be accepting of their feedback. Internal, your own feedback. How do you feel coaching it? We've all been in a session where, like I said earlier on, I'm not really enjoying this. I don't think it's going as well. So how do you change that on the field? And then how, again, as I mentioned earlier on, how does it impact on my next design? How will that help me make this session or this theme even better the next time I do it?
Yeah, so we have a question come through, Scott, and it says, at what age do you think a player should specialise in a certain position?
I've just off my own experiences. So in Scotland, we run from up to U11s, we do 7v7, and then it's changed to 8v8, and then at U13 level, we go 9v9 for half a season, and then we go 11v11 for the second half. So we don't actually play a full year 11v11 until U14 now. So I think it's really important that players get the example of both sides of the game, attacking, defensive, right, left, central, wide. I personally don't put my players into nailed on positions probably until that second half 11-a-sides, and then maybe play them as a centre back more if I feel that's where they're going to develop, but I'll always try and put them into different aspects. An example I used with a player, we had a wide player, and we went to play Rangers in a youth academy match, and his pressing wasn't great. The fullback was stepping past him a lot. He wasn't managing to help us defend for the front. So for the next 6 weeks, we played him as a fullback, and we put him more in 1v1 situations, and we put him in contact situations, and he had to defend. And then that allowed him, when he went back into the midfield area, the wide area, his pressing was much more aggressive, it was much more effective. And I just felt that putting him in that situation for that short amount of time helped him in his long-term development.
Yeah, huge. And at Rush, obviously, we don't have set positions, although players get pigeonholed at times, but that comes maybe at the same sort of time, 14, 15, and stuff like that. But like you said, I think it's important, especially at the younger ages, for children to experience playing both sides of the ball, attacking and defending, and different areas as well. Preferably not in one match to confuse them, but absolutely. So with the evaluation, when you ask the players, what are the questions like, and then what is some of the feedback the players are giving on the sessions?
So I will just one of my best evaluations that I use is when I say, right guys, that's time up, and if you get the response of, oh, can we not keep going, or 5 more minutes, or is that it already, then straight away they must have enjoyed that. That must have been a good session for them. And so that's the kind of first question, the first bit of information I look for is the response to when training ends. After we do that, and we're maybe stretching, or we're chatting, or we're giving information about the next session or the next game, I'll maybe ask questions like individually, like, Chris, what did you think about that part? Or I might ask them to recap the session for me. One of the things we do before a match sometimes is we'll look and we'll say, Monday night session, what did we work on? Or Wednesday night session, what did we work on? And we'll ask the players to try and use that memory to tell us. Not all the time they'll get it right, when we can kind of guide them with points that we can nudge them in the right direction, but it's just to refresh them going into the match. Because again, for me, development wise, my theme all week has been working on getting into wide areas and crossing the ball. If I go out in the match and we lose 2-1, but I've managed to get into the wide areas 25 times, I'm happy, because that's what I've worked on.
Yeah, so just focusing on what you've been working on,
Yep.
as opposed to worrying about the result. I think that's huge. A little different over here, and I'm sure Fraser tells you about the need to win over here and stuff and such. But brilliant. My computer is giving me all kinds of trouble. Here we go. Escape to exit, camera on, stop sharing. Did my camera come back on?
Yeah, I can't see you.
You can't see me?
I see you now, yeah.
Okay, I don't see myself yet, so I'm trying to get that back on. Brilliant. So I can't see my camera, but I'll carry on. If I've got bogies hanging out my nose, Scott, just let me know. So just looking at that, I think it's brilliant, the thought you put into it and stuff like that. I think you mentioned so many things that are valuable. You know, if it's not working, you know, do you use the pest or step model to rearrange it? And you touched upon that a little bit when, you know, you talked about the players and as such.
Yeah, I think that I think it's important to, probably when you get, maybe the word ego comes into that coaches might think to themselves, oh, I've spent a lot of time in designing this session, I really want to make it work. But you really need to be aware of what you want and what's best for the players might be different at that stage and that time. So I think it is important that you're able to do that, and you're able to take yourself out of that situation and say, right, this isn't working, I'm not achieving what I want to achieve. How can I go about doing it in a different manner?
Yeah. So there's a couple, I think, just when I went through my teaching, we would use PEST, which was players, equipment, space, time, to analyze. Do you know what I mean? And then you know, we would look at differentiating by task, outcome, or process as well. And I know when we were off before we started recording, sorry, you and I were talking about the constraints-led approach and affordances and a non-linear path. And obviously, you spoke about being player-centric and player-centered based on their needs. So when you design your sessions, how often are you designing the questions you want to ask, and are you thinking about the interventions you're making and who you'll ask those questions to? Are you going that deep?
I'm trying my best not to preempt what's going to happen on the pitch. I don't want to kind of force a situation to happen. Now, when you do your sessions and maybe you're running a session that you know quite well and you've used a lot, you will be able to then probably prejudge something that may happen. You probably get a feel for the session, you get a feel for your players, and you know I think they might do this, and it'll give you a kind of coaching point to lead on. But I try not to kind of go into the session with an idea of, I'm going to make sure I get this point in, I'm going to make sure I get that point in.
So it's more organic. It's more, you're coaching and you're observing more and then jumping in. Now, if you've got, say, if you're running a session, Scott, and the same error happens 5 times by different players, are you then jumping in and doing your freeze, or, you know?
By different players, I'm probably then going to look at something like whole part whole again, where I'll maybe strip it back and I'll maybe say, right guys, maybe say we're maybe looking at outside of the foot passing, and we've got it in a game situation. I might strip that back and go back into just working on that specific detail, because I'll say to them, in order for this to work, we need to be really good at this. We're not there yet, so let's go back and practice it, and then we'll see if we can take it back into our game again.
Yeah, brilliant. So the federation now, and I don't know how much you talk with Fraser and people over here, but at the grassroots level, which is basically anything, right? Anything that's not professional. But they've gone to a play, practice, play, which is a little different to whole part whole, because the play, practice, play one is usually smaller sided games. It could be even, it could be 2v2, it could be 3v2, it could be 1v3, depending on that kid's needs. And then they go into a practice session. So the coach in play one is doing a lot of observation, you know, like you were doing at the beginning during your warm up and stuff like that. And then during the practice phase, they're looking at players and they're just thinking, okay, then they're setting the table, right? The coaches are more active It's related to training sessions, the goals and the objectives of the session, and then there's some targeted activities. So it might be a more challenging, might be a less challenging. So a bit of a carousel there, depending on players. And then there's got, keywords, so if they're looking at dribbling, it might be, find an opening, especially at the younger ages, and stuff like that. So, and then into the play mode, play 2 is, in play 2, they're looking at slightly more expanded numbers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So similar obviously methodologies and stuff like that. And then the 5 elements that they look for in a training session for US soccer is it organized? Is it game-like? Is there repetition? So do they get to repeat those actions in a game-like quality? Not I stand here, you pass there, and we just pass back and forth. Is there challenge? And then is there effective coaching? And then of course at the end, lots of reflection,
Yeah.
So, how do you see those? I mean, I think they're very similar approaches. Would you agree, or?
Yeah, it's, I think it's just similar approaches with different kind of maybe terminology.
Yeah.
In terms of the coaching being effective and the reflection. So maybe in Scotland on the SFA, they'll look at, like I was saying, the warm up, the game related, the condition game, and then we'll look at phase of play. So that will be your success part. That will be, can you show that what you've worked on can come out in the actual game structure? So I think it is really similar. It's just maybe different terminologies, but again, if it's the structure and the setup, I think that will always get you to that because part C and D is the fun part. That's the game.
Yeah.
But as you're the coach and your team is going to play with the style that you want it to play, it's parts A and B that's going to get you that part C and D. Do you know if that makes sense? Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, there's it's like, I think it was Albert Capellas who said, nothing is the most important thing, but everything is necessary. So having that blend and a balance, right, of everything. You can't just play games all the time, and you can't just do isolated training all the time. Everything kind of, the jigsaw fits together. This question's just come in as well. It says, what are the 3 qualities that you look for when forming your team?
So my team, again, so at Partick Thistle, when we take the players in, we'll have maybe a smaller squad to maximise the game time and the development for the year. We actually, I know you guys asked me for 3, but we base our kind of structure off of 5. So we look technical, tactical, physical, psychological, and social. So that's the areas that we will assess players in, and we'll do that right at the start of, say, a trial period, or when the coach just meets them, if we hand over a group to a new coach, and then we'll assess them all the way throughout the season on the 5 kind of areas.
Yeah, and then are you co-creating individual development plans with the players too? Because you mentioned if your midfielder was struggling, so you put him 6 weeks where he played at the outside back, at the fullback position, and
Yep, each year our squad players will have it's called a player development plan. They'll fill it in alongside the coach, and we'll set objectives for short, medium and long term for them. They'll set their own objectives. We'll then help them by asking them, so if one player said, I really want to improve my left foot, or I want to improve my running ability, my speed and agility, so we'll ask them to design sessions that they think can make them better. And we will also give them sessions that they can do away from training, because there's only so much time you can get with them at your training. On a match day, we'll ask them to set an objective for the match. So my striker might say to me, I want to make sure that when I get a shot today, I hit the target. So we'll ask him how he's going to achieve that. Or my goalkeeper might say to me, when I'm building for the back today, I want to make sure that I'm accurate and I hit my teammates. So again, we'll set the aims to meet the objective. A good example of what I do with that is try and involve the parents as much as I can. So obviously it's hard for you or the coach to stand and mark 14 players' objectives while you're coaching a game. So I'll maybe say to the player, go and tell your parent what your objective is and get them to watch you, so you've got that information when the game finishes.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. And then do you, how do the individual objectives tie into the unit, and then the unit tie into the team objectives?
Yeah, so it's about making that player better individually and be the best that he can be. So we'll assess it, we'll evaluate it, and if he achieves it to a standard that we think he's got better, we'll move on to the next one. And by doing that, we hope that as many boxes can be ticked, so that overall, by the time the season's finished, the player's a better player, the team is a stronger team, and the academy's in a better position.
Yeah, brilliant. And on game days as well, do the individual and the unit and the team objectives, how do you thread those in? How do you weave those in on game day?
Yeah, so again, it depends, because it won't always fit in for everybody, but if I'm leading up to the weekend's match, and my theme for that weekend's been pressing from the front or pressing in midfield, then I'll maybe look at the players whose individual objectives correlate to that, and I'll maybe say to them, right, this is a good example for you to use what you've learned in training this week, because it directly applies to what your objective is. Now, there might be somebody whose theme is completely different to what we've worked on, but it's still important that they're asked to go and try to do what they want to do as well, without being too forceful. Again, example, a kid that we played last year, wanted to get better on his left foot, so he would pass everything with his left foot, and he would give the ball away a lot. And I'm saying to him, now, are you doing that because we're watching you and we want to see you using your left foot, or are you doing that because that's the best decision at that point in the time? Because sometimes the best decision is to use your right foot. Yeah. You only should be making that decision when it's the best decision. So it's trying to get them to realise that difference as well, that they don't need to be doing it for the sake of doing it. They can do it for the right time and the right quality to get it right.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I like that you have the player go share that objective with their parent. And I've done something similar, but we also have them share their objective with a teammate that could help them reach their objective. Do you know what I mean? So if you've got your goalkeeper who's been playing out of the back, and you've got your fullback who wants to receive the ball across the body and go, so now the goalkeeper and him are working in tandem. And I think that's huge. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yep, player relationships, it's massive. It's one kind of maybe a new thing that's happening in Scotland, as well. We're working on the relationships a bit more, and we're working on specific area of the field to try and coach that and get the players used to it. So definitely.
Yeah, massive. And then this one's come in. It says, what techniques do you use for mental preparation?
I think it's about knowing your players and getting that connection with them first. What we like to do, an example we used, me and my coach and partner at Thistle, for a full season, what we've done was, in the Friday after training, we would do a wee PowerPoint, and we would give them the team, and we would give them the objectives for the match and their objectives, so that they allowed them the night before the match to go away and think about it and visualise things and see, so they were in a better position, maybe finding out that they're playing half an hour before kick-off. We like to give them that wee bit extra time. So I think that worked well. So that's definitely one example we did, was give them information with a wee bit more extra time to use it.
Yeah, brilliant. And then you know, when you're playing an opponent, Scott, I know a lot of people are like, we got to watch out for the 9. He's a big boy, and sometimes we go into the game and we give so much information about the opponent, which might strike fear into our team. So we've looked at an 80-20, focus 80% on us, 20% on them. What kind of things are you doing around game day?
In and around game day, I'm speaking about what we've worked on at training. I'm speaking about that week's theme. I'm speaking about the most important thing to me is to see that in the match. Again, I'm trying to emphasise that don't force it to happen, but if you do get the opportunity to do it, then I want to see it. I'm also speaking about maybe in the Monday, so we train a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if we're going into a match at the weekend against, say, Celtic or Hearts or Hibs, whoever it may be, I'll maybe speak to the players and say, so what kind of style did they play the last time we played them? Do you remember much about that game? and they'll give me, or Celtic, they try to build for the back, or Hearts, they played it into the striker a lot. So just to get them in the mindset of thinking, even the Monday about the Saturday, about the kind of potential options they could be playing in the game, the kind of what might be coming for them.
Yeah, so here's something that just came to me here. Like, so we've got your cycle up, right? Hopefully people can see that. But do you get the fixture list and then go and then do it, or do you, like, so for example, if you've got building out of the back and then Rangers is your first opponent, and you know that Rangers press high and they're relentless, what does that adjust the plan, or do you stick with the plan?
I'll probably say we'll stick with the plan. We feel that it's more about the development over the year rather than the week to week the game. We feel like the game will help us in that development. So I feel that with the plan, if we tick all the boxes over that period of time, then maybe by the second time we come around to play these teams again, we should notice a difference. We should see different things.
Yeah, brilliant. Scott, this has been very very enjoyable, very informational, and I've enjoyed getting to know you over the past month, and I thank Fraser for getting us in touch, and I look forward to our continued journey together.
No, definitely. Thanks very much for inviting me to chat about something that we're all very passionate about and we all want to learn and get better at, so I've really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Let's see if there's any further questions from our audience. There doesn't seem to be any in, and I still can't see myself. Can you see me on the camera now, Scott?
Yeah, I can see you, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. I can't see you, so it's quite difficult to present when you can't see someone as well and see their facial expressions. So listen, thanks a lot. Real quick, what is the best piece of information or thing that you've gotten through this time?
I think we're speaking about it earlier on. I was lucky enough there was a referee in Scotland called Bobby Madden who refereed the SPL Premiership, and he was telling us that last year he refereed Bayern Munich and Real Madrid in the Champions League, and he's hoping, his dream is to be at the World Cup 2022. That's his dream. So I think just listening to that, and that's somebody who maybe 7-8 years ago I was working with on grassroots level, and seeing his journey, I think it just reinforces the places that football can take you, not just as a coach, but for the players and everybody that's involved. Is just seeing that dream being achieved, and even if it's a different form, refereeing. So I think that was the biggest thing that struck home with me during this period, was that we've always got a chance of going places with this sport.
Yeah, dream big, right? Dream big. And it's funny, when Fraser introduced us, he had this big sense of pride, and my mate Scott Mills, he works for Partick Thistle and he works for the Scottish FA, and he's so proud and stuff. So that's it's brilliant, man. So for everybody out there, keep dreaming big. So Scott, any questions, anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
No, I just really enjoyed the opportunity to speak about something that I'm passionate about, and hopefully some people can take something away from it. Really enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant. So Scott, thanks for joining us. Everybody, thanks for joining us too. Thank you for those who will watch this later. We will share the recording as well. Just a little reminder, May 29th, Friday, May 29th, we have Amy Price from the English FA, and she will be doing a session using video game design. Scott, have you heard of that video game design and stuff, or?
I've not, so I think I might need to go and research that.
Yeah, I'll send you some information. So there's gamification and video game design. So, but it's going to be a nice segue from yours into using video game design to engage and get children's imaginations running and stuff like that. But so
on that, sorry, I can share something with you, Chris.
Yeah.
Lucky enough to go to Benfica's academy for a visit last 2 Februaries ago. So one of the things they've got in their complex is a big kind of indoor pitch, maybe smaller pitch, but it's got surrounded all 4 sides, and the guy with iPad controls it. So maybe the balls will get fired at the corners, and there'll be a specific part of the screen that will light up, and the players need to find that. Or they can paint goals up in it, and they play 2v2, 1v1. So maybe you'll hear some more about that.
Yeah, I'll look into that as well. Yeah, I've seen that, the way they do the lights, right? I think Dortmund has a similar thing where they put the lights and they have to pass the ball through that space and stuff like that. Yeah, fantastic. So everybody, once again, thanks everybody for joining us. Scott, thank you for your time and sharing it so articulately and passionately. And the PowerPoint, page 2 was my doing, not Scott's. So if it wasn't aesthetically pleasing, that's on me. But everybody stay safe, wash your hands, and have a return safe to play. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.